Okay, we have two people. Okay, sorry that it didn't work before. Um, I was like on the schedule and it was like making me wait for it. And anyways, that's not the point. Thank you so much for joining. Hopefully some more people would join. I saw there were 5 people waiting on the other one. I wanted to do this from the boat, but in spirit of the boat, I put up a little chart behind me. Okay, now we've got 5 people. Cool. Sorry the other one didn't work. I was just saying I wanted to do this on the boat, but I was a bit nervous about the 4G, and so maybe next time I'll try it out properly and see how it is. But in spirit of the boat, I put up a little chart. Okay, so this is weird being live. Let me open the chat. Okay, hopefully they should pop up. So basically what this is I'm just going to talk about my future plans, my dream boat, and just anything to do with sailing. So let's start with the future plans. I think this one's the most exciting. So I've got one more year of school, which I'm going into just now. So starting in a few days' time, this is my final year. Then I'm going to take a gap year. And for those of you that maybe aren't in England or whatever, it's different. A gap year is a year off, and you can basically do whatever you want. So I'm going to spend the first half of it working. So over summer, the first summer, September, October, working, and then around winter time, I'm going to buy a boat. Obviously, it seems like the natural thing to do. Hello, thanks for joining the art. So yeah, I'm going to buy a boat because that seems the natural, obvious thing to do. Just a little cheap something. Well, I say something as if I hadn't thought about it all through, but of course I have. I've got about 10 different boats all ranked in my notes page. So ideally, let's start the list. A Trapper 300. This is a sort of cruiser racer. It's like 28 feet. Yeah, so it's just that sort of thing is what I'm looking for, because from a sort of dinghy sailing background, I feel every time I'm out on a boat, I'm just trying to trim everything perfectly, and so I want a boat that kind of rewards that, if that makes sense. So I want a boat that's really enjoyable to sail, so that's why I'm looking for a cruiser racer. It's like a Westerly GK24 as well, a Hunter Impala. So I've gone international, says Stuart. Cool. Glad it's working over there. Yeah, so just something fast, and then come sort of May, April, that's when I'm going to do my main part of my gap year, which is going to be sailing around the UK. I'll leave probably out of Weymouth or Portland. I'll keep the boat there, do some work on it, get it sorted, get all the safety gear I need, and then probably go around clockwise, I think, is the plan. And that will take me probably 3 months. Haven't decided whether I want to go through the Caledonian Canal or not. So that's the long canal that divides Scotland in half, pretty much. And that way you can avoid going around the top of Scotland, which obviously has very strong winds and big waves and things, but equally really, really cool coastline. So that's kind of what I'd like to do, obviously, but we'll see what the weather is like once I'm there. And the Caledonian Canal as well, it's an amazing thing to see all the mountains just like either side of you, and it'd be a good experience as well going through a canal. And so then it would be down to the North Sea, very notoriously wavy stretch of water, but that would be awesome. And sometimes I get asked, like, why do you want to go around the UK and not go over to the Med or whatever? And I just think I kind of want to see the UK. We've actually got pretty good sailing, like in Wales, when I was just in Wales, amazing scenery. The south coast is a bit boring. I'll give you that. I mean, around where I am, it's not too bad. But Wales, Scotland, I might even cross over to Ireland for a bit. It's just amazing sailing there. And the Med, someday I'll go to the Med, but I'm more of a northern latitude person, I think. So eventually I think I'll sail up into the Baltic and to Norway, and all of that. So yeah, we've covered my future plans, my dream boat, near plans. So we've got school starting, but now I'm sailing every week down in Weymouth and racing. So I've got a big race coming up. Well, I'm racing this Thursday. and then a bigger race, a proper regatta, next weekend as well, which I'll film and have an episode for that, which is cool. I really can't wait for that, and it's on a sort of 35-foot, what's it called? Like a Grand Soleil. I should probably know. Anyways, a sort of J boat type of thing. Quite fast. Well, actually, really quite fast. Does sort of 14 knots or something. And that's a lot of fun. So that's where I'm doing most of my sailing now. We're still sailing the Sadler out every now and again, and doing nights off with it, which is also really fun. And I'm still staying there for 1 or 2 nights a week, especially now that school starts, which is really, really cool. The art says, I arrived in Dartmouth yesterday. Oh, nice. I've never been that way. I've been really, really wanting and sort of encouraging my dad to go around the Bill from Weymouth, so around Portland Bill, which has got extreme tidal races, but if you time it right, it's fine. And go sort of in that direction. Maybe not quite as far as Dartmouth, but Salcombe and Sidmouth, these places I think have great cruising. And then I guess, yeah, sort of that sort of area kind of leads me on to what my plans are after the gap year. So for those of you that have just joined, my gap year plan, which is in a year's time, to work, get a boat, fix it up, and sail around the UK, in short. And then, so then university is the plan. Now, one person asked me about whether university is definitely the best thing for me, and it's true. University, I guess you do lose some time, but one of my other big passions, which you guys probably don't know, is I'm really interested in marine biology, which kind of works with the sailing whole thing. So that's what I'm going to go and study at for university, and hopefully from that I can find a way to live on a boat while working. And anyways, we'll see where that goes. But so yeah, I've been looking at different unis, and my criteria is basically, are they on the sea? Have they got mountains nearby? And that basically limits me to sort of, and also do they do marine biology? And that basically limits me to 4 universities. So my number 1 would be St Andrews. That's up on the east coast of Scotland. I'd have great sailing up there. I mean, windy, but you could go over to Norway. It's got the mountains there. So St Andrews, Bangor, which is where I just was in that last video. I did a tour of the campus, and just seeing the mountains in the background and the sea right there was just so awesome. And I found out that they've even got their own mooring buoys there, because I might even live on a boat while studying at university, but we'll see. That would be the dream. And then also Exeter and Aberdeen as well. So Exeter, it's actually down in Cornwall, the marine biology campus, in Falmouth, which of course is great sailing, very sheltered waters. Less on the mountains though, so yeah, and a bit close to home, I think. But yeah, so that's sort of universities, dream boats. America's Cup. I don't know how many of you guys are interested in it, but I've been watching all of it. Yesterday's race of Emirates, no, not Emirates, Ineos Britannia, England against France was, I think, the best one we've had yet. England being over the line, and then, well, I should say Great Britain being over the line at the start, the French being ahead, then also getting a penalty but bringing it back, and there were about 5 lead changes. That was a particularly exciting race. But it is true, I mean, I've been watching some of the older America's Cups sort of before the foils, where they had the big spinnakers, and the racing was definitely more exciting. I mean, they were over the line because of their foil, which was in the air, so I don't know whether that should really count as a part of the boat, but it does, which is a shame. So yeah, but it's been really, really interesting to see, and I think we're looking pretty good. Our downwind is very good, but obviously Italy and New Zealand are also doing extremely well. I feel quite bad for Switzerland. It's not going great, if you guys have been watching. Yeah, so now I've got some questions from some of my coffee supporters, which I'm going to answer. So Steve says, what's the best and worst part of living on a sailboat? Now, I only live there sort of half the time. Well, probably less than half the time, to be honest. So I can't give a full proper answer, but there are a couple of things which just come straight to my head. I'm going to start with the worst thing. Start with the negatives because definitely the condensation. In the morning, you wake up, everything's wet, and it's just a bit like uncomfortable, kind of gross. Just like wet clothes, it's like a bit annoying. That's one of them. The second one, which is particularly annoying to me, is the headroom. I'm always hunched over, so whenever I'm cooking or washing up, it's like after a couple minutes, it really starts to hurt. But that might mean I need a slightly bigger boat with more headroom. Unfortunately, I keep growing. I'm like 6'1" or something now, and it's really annoying. I just want to be like 5'10", and then I can get a smaller boat, but it's fine. And the best part, I would say, is just being on a boat. There's just something nice about being on a boat. Life's just better on a boat, I think, at least for me. It's just like you wake up and you're just like on the water on a boat, and it's like you could just take it out and go sailing. Speaking of which, it won't be long until I will be able to take out the Sadler on my own, especially now that I've done my day skipper. Greg asks sort of about starting, how to sail, what the sort of costs are, and how and sort of the best way to get into it. Now, I was very fortunate in that my parents stuck me onto sailing courses once a year for a week, from the age of 8 until I was like 15 or something. And that's where sort of my passion for sailing sort of started. So learning to sail dinghies, but even when I was sailing dinghies, I sort of knew that what I wanted to do was go cruising. So there were these old tubby boats called scows, which are just a bit like a mirror dinghy. They're not sort of fast boats, and everyone else was interested in the fast planing boats, and I was thinking, yeah, I'd quite like to sail a scow and just go off with a tent or something. And then from there, I'd say sort of just being able to, I mean, now that I'm a bit older, I can just get myself onto sort of boats. So Facebook is a great place to do that. There's different pages called like Find Crew for a Sailboat, and I'm on a few of them, and sometimes someone will put something out and I'll say, yep, I'll join, I'm up for that. And then that just leads to different things. So when I sailed across Wales with Dave, I met Dave by crewing on another boat in a race, and so then that led me to be able to cruise the whole length of Wales. So it's just like that. And the sailing community, you get a few sort of old salty sea dogs who just kind of, I think, like guard the whole thing. But generally, people are pretty nice and helpful. And now, as I was saying earlier, most of my sailing is racing once a week down at Weymouth. It's like 100, no, it's like 70 quid a year for membership there, and I'm just crewing once a week for free. Orlando says I'm a salty sea dog. I don't think I'm quite there yet. I'm trying to choose a different pathway to that a little bit. I'll agree I'm salty, but not quite as old sea dog yet. And as I was saying, yes, now I'm just crewing on this boat, and I'm learning so much as well because everyone's really helpful. So what I'd say is get onto Facebook, find some cruising pages, or go to your local sailing club and see what events they have. People are always looking for crew and for people to help and join, and that's sort of the main way. In some ways, that's a better way because you avoid a lot of the cost of owning a boat, maintaining a boat, which is obviously a lot. So even my cheap little Hurley, which I had before, it was £600 for the boat, but to moor it every year was £700. So it's just, I would say sailing club, find a boat, find somewhere you can crew on. So have I ever gotten myself in a situation while sailing that really frightened me? I don't think so. I touched on it a bit in my Wales video, but I'd say when like we were night sailing, I wasn't frightened, but I got that real sense of how sort of real and exposed you are. If you fall off, that is the end, and you just sort of see how true that is. That's one of the moments which definitely sticks out to me and was very sort of poignant. But no, I don't think I've ever been frightened. On the Around the Island race, coming around the bottom when the jib was collapsing a bit. That was a bit scary in case we sort of jibed, because I was on the opposite side of the boom, meaning if we did jibe, I would definitely get dunked. That was definitely a bit scary, so I was holding on really tight there. What got me interested in sailing? So probably, as I was saying, just the sailing courses. I'd done a lot of racing, and that's kind of just I don't know. There's something about sailing. It just kind of all encompasses everything. And so yeah, from dinghy sailing and then just on to getting, and then from getting onto bigger boats, just sort of happened, I guess. Also YouTube as well. So now I'm one of them, but Wildling Sailing, Sailing Uma, these are all people, and Eric Anderer. These are my favorite YouTube channels, and I just, I look at their life and I'm like, that's what I want to do. So that's kind of what I'm doing a little bit. So here someone says you were doing really well downwind, going wing on wing. So when you have the main and the Genoa on the opposite sides, perhaps you consider a crew position to go to Newfoundland. Wow, that would be awesome. Next summer, that would be really awesome. I'll get in contact with you, Rip, and we'll see about that. So someone would like me to talk about how I got into sailing. I've done that a little bit, and how I plan to keep the interest as you go through university. So yeah, I've said that a little bit. This is from John. I'd like to live on a boat for at least some of my university time, I think. I think that's a smart thing to do because I think it's probably cheaper, and there's a whole problem in the UK with accommodation. So I think probably I'll do some of that. I'll be involved with the university sailing if that's what they have, and I'll have my own boat definitely, even if I'm not living on it, on some mooring somewhere, which I'll go out and sail. I'm really quite looking forward to university, I think. Being able to study something I'm really interested in. Right now in England, we have these things called A levels. I'm doing, and you just do 3 or 4 subjects. I'm just doing 3 for this year. Biology, geography, and physics, and it's like some parts of it I find really interesting, but other parts, like an Oxbow Lake in geography, or a lot of the kind of like economic side of geography, like tariffs and trade blocks and things, it just doesn't interest me. So I'm really looking forward to being able to study something that really interests me. Also having that sort of freedom, and just being able to go off sailing, that's all of those questions. Now we're going to move on to questions from the chat. So if any of you have any questions, put them in the chat. I've missed a couple. Can you promise to spend less time looking at the transom of a Benevaria? So this is in reference to, I think, a couple of my videos. One of them, sailing around the Isle of Wight in the laser, when there was that big Beneteau that was overtaking me. That was an annoying moment. And another one as well, when I got the new sail on the Hurley. I think that happened. And I agree, yeah. I mean, this is what I was saying earlier. This is why I need a cruiser racer, because it is frustrating, being in a nice, classic, old, proper boat and then being overtaken by a Beneteau or something. So yeah, I think hopefully the Trapper 300 will do it. That's the plan there. Maybe. Are you still on the Sadler 26? Yes, we still have the Sadler 26. I'm still doing a couple days a week on it, just staying there while I study at school, and there should hopefully be some more videos on that. I need to do some more because I should be able to single-hand it now, ideally. Oxbow Lake is about the only thing I know from geography. So for some reason, it's one of those things that just seems to stick with everyone. It's so useless, but everyone just seems to know it. Missed the beginning. What are your immediate plans? Immediate plans. So I've got I'm sailing down in Weymouth at the sailing club, doing racing. I've got a race this Thursday. This is on a 35-foot sort of fast boat, a bit like a J boat or like a Pogo or something. And then on the 13th, on that weekend I've got 2-day regatta, which will be a big race, and there'll be a video for that as well. That's immediate for now, and that's how I'm sort of planning to keep up my sailing as well as on the Sadler. Living on a boat at the first year at uni, you'll need a Halberg Rassi. I think I probably wouldn't do the first year. I'd probably, for the first year of university, I think I'd probably go into the halls so you can meet people, and also so people don't think I'm some hobbit that just lives on a boat, and even though that's kind of what I will be and what I am. Um, and then for the next 3 or 2 years, depending on which uni, I'll hopefully live on a boat. And I'll need a Halberg Rassi. It is true, I want something comfortable, but not a Halberg Rassi. That's yeah, a bit too expensive, I think. I'd quite like at that stage in life, I think, like a deck saloon boat. I mean, there's only a few which are kind of cheap. It's like a Colvik Watson. It's more of a motor sailor, but I think a deck saloon, it's just for living on, being able to like sort of look out and have windows, because the whole other time you're in like a sort of dark cave, I guess. So I think that would definitely be a requirement if I were to live on a boat, and then hopefully I can just go out and sailing, and there'll be so much sailing videos as well. And yeah, this is the other thing. This YouTube channel was just, it's so good, and I really enjoy it. I love making good like films, good short films. I don't really know how I sort of learn. I mean, I just started doing it, and just from that, building on that. I used to have another YouTube channel a few years ago, actually quite a long time ago now. And just short videos, and just learning to edit there, and just applying it to here, and also just watching YouTube and seeing how other people are doing it. And then being able to apply it, and I love making these sort of films. You're planning to stay around Britain? Yes. So, I'm sorry for those that missed the start about the other live stream, and now it's this one. I'll get it sorted for next time. Yeah, the plan is, so I've got one more year of school. Then the year after, I'm going to take a gap year, so a year off. I'm going to work, make some money, do some YouTube videos, buy a boat, some sort of cruiser racer, Westerly GK 24 or 29, or a Trapper 300, or a Hunter Impala, these sorts of boats. Spend a couple months fixing it up. So I'd like to buy one where it's got the essentials, so the rigging are pretty good, engine pretty good, and the hull itself, and then hopefully I will come in and just do project work on the interior, the safety gear, self-steering, all of that. And then after that, I will take this boat, probably do it in Weymouth, get some experience on it. So I'll go over to France, the Scilly Isles, the Channel Islands, all of these sorts of places, get some real experience. And in that year, by the way, the YouTube is going to be so awesome. I can't wait. And then, yeah, go around the UK. My parents aren't so keen on the plan, as you'd probably imagine. But my sort of thinking about it, and it'd be interesting to see what you guys think, is it's not too different from just doing sort of a passage, let's say from Weymouth to Bembridge or Southampton or whatever. It's very different to crossing the Atlantic, where you can't predict the weather in the same way, and you can't just go into shore. So I think, of course, you can just do it in day trips, and I think a lot of the times it will just be that sail, anchor, sail, anchor. There'll probably only be a couple of night passages. So in my thinking, it's not too dangerous. My parents would quite like me to do it on the Sadler, which I do understand, because it's a boat we sort of know and trust. But I have just an annoying sort of stubborn sense and feeling of wanting to do it on something which I've bought myself and restored. Because then it would really feel like my project, my sort of achievement. So we'll see how we get with that. But it is true that the UK waters are some of the most dangerous around. There's so much tidal streams. It's not like the Med, where it's fairly easy, and also the sea water temperature is a lot lower So once you're up in Scotland, it's only going to be 13, 14 degrees. And then if you fall overboard single-handed, you only have an hour to 3 hours or something. And that's the other thing as well, which they're not keen on. And this one I understand a lot more, which is doing it single-handed. I wouldn't do the entire thing single-handed. I definitely have crew for some parts, but there's something I really enjoy about single-handed sailing is the problem. But yeah, if you fall overboard single-handed, I mean, hopefully in the UK waters, I'll have like an AIS and a life beacon, so hopefully the Coast Guard can get out and get to me. But if it's dark, you're not going to have that much time, and it would be hard for them to find you as well. So yeah, what do you guys think? Am I being crazy? Is it a stupid plan? I don't know, but I'm so set on it, and I think it'd be such an awesome thing to do. Yeah. Jack asks if I'm going to be doing more stuff in Bingham courses. So one of my other sort of jobs, I guess, is instructing sailing. So I'm a dinghy instructor. So I've only done it once so far, to be fair. But in the summer and Easter, I'll just instruct kids aged 8 to sort of 14 how to sail, and it's a really cool experience. And it's nice sort of seeing like younger people really getting into sailing, and I try and like make it seem as good as possible. Sometimes they just hate it, but sometimes they enjoy it, and it's like, I don't know, it's quite refreshing and enjoyable. So I'm pretty lucky to have that. What's your favorite YouTube channel? Your gap year plan is great. Your videos have been excellent. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. My favorite YouTube channel is Wildling Sailing. I'm sure you guys know him. And he's bought this old 40-foot catamaran, which he's fixed up, and he's finally sailing it. So now it's getting really quite exciting. Speaking of which, catamarans, I can understand living aboard having a catamaran, but I don't think I can deal with it. I just think, I mean, in fairness, I've never been on one, but I just don't think it'd feel like sailing. You're just like on a floating board. There's no heeling over. You don't get the same sense when you're going into the waves. I don't think I'd enjoy sailing a catamaran. I need a proper boat. Rebecca asked, do you know anyone who has sailed around the UK already? Not anyone personally. I was speaking with someone yesterday who knows someone who went around it in a sea kayak, which is obviously quite a bit more adventurous. But it's true, I would really like to sort of meet someone and speak to them about it properly. There's a good YouTube channel called Sam Sails. He went around in a Hurley 22, which is what my original sort of plan was, something cheaper and smaller. But my parents have absolutely vetoed that one, so that's not going to happen. It's got to be at least 25 foot. So yeah, I've put a lot of time into thinking about it, and I think it seems achievable. I definitely got to get more experience, which I will do. Hopefully once I do get this boat, whatever it is, I'll be able to have the time to go on long passages, really get some experience, and also all the safety gear. So thank you to you guys for watching the videos, and to my coffee supporters. I've just got myself a new life jacket, 180 Newton one, with a hood and a light, and also an AIS beacon. So if I fall overboard, it will go to the boat, and I'll have like an AIS marker on the GPS map, so the Coast Guard will have me sort of tracking. The Coast Guard will be tracking me once I'm in the water, which not once I'm in the water, if I fall in the water, which hopefully won't happen. Right, I got a few more questions. Stickman says, I lived on a sailboat when I went to college. Oh, awesome. That was over 40 years ago, and absolutely no regrets. Just got home from single-handed journey, 42 foot to foot. Oh, that is so awesome. on the inside passage from Washington State to Alaska. That is so awesome. I'd love to hear more about that. Cool that you lived on a sailboat as well, while at college. I think it sounds like a good idea. I did contact the St Andrews Harbour Master just to get onto the waiting list for it, and he replied, "Are you thinking about living on a boat while studying? If so, I don't really recommend it." I didn't even tell him that that was the plan, so obviously quite a few people sort of think about doing it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've done a bit of it, and I can definitely live on a boat quite happily. So hopefully it's a good plan. But yeah, sailing Alaska and that side would be awesome. So Alluring Arctic, another YouTube channel who are just doing the Northwest Passage, and that would be awesome. I think my long term goal. Okay, I've been a few boats. First we'll have the cruiser racer, then some sort of deck saloon, motor sailor or something, and then the absolute end goal would be just like a 35-foot steel pilot house, just beast that would just take me anywhere. That I think is the aim. Eddie says, Nessa Edson, hi Eddie, how are you? Thanks for joining. Doggle says, have you watched Garrett's Adventure? Yes, Garrett's Adventure. His channel actually sort of led me to make this. So I'd filmed all of those videos on the Hurley quite a while before I started the channel. So I was 14 in some of them. And I'd edited them as well, so they were all ready to go, but I just didn't post them. I don't really know why, I just sort of didn't. And then after watching Garrett's channel, it was just so awesome. He seems so cool, and I'm actually gonna get in contact with him and see if I can maybe crew with him, because he put out a video asking if there are people that wanted to crew, and I think in my gap year, if I can find a little slot for a couple of weeks, I might go and do that. That would be so awesome. Yeah, Garrett's really awesome. Also, speaking of sailing YouTubers, there's been a lot of that. Sailing Melody is another great one, and they did the same passage that we did in Wales. And interestingly, you guys, if you're big followers of them, you may have seen that they were looking for a place to stay while they haul their boat out in Portland Marina, which is obviously right next to Weymouth. So I've offered them the Sadler 26 to stay on while that's happening, and they've said yes. So in about a week's time, they're going to be staying there. I'm going to get to meet them. There should be a video on that, and it'll be awesome. Yeah, and they're just such a great, honest sailing channel. And so I'm really looking forward to meeting them. Where are you based? I'm in Eastern Washington, but I've sailed Seattle, North Vancouver. So I live in the southwest of England, near a little town. Well, it's actually a city, I think, called Weymouth. It's actually where the 2012 Sailing Olympics was held, in Weymouth. So that kind of makes sense and is pretty convenient for me. It's a nice place to sail. Only problem with it is it's quite sheltered, and I know that that's normally a good thing, but for me, I prefer big waves and strong winds, which probably isn't a great thing. And maybe I won't be saying that once I've been cruising for a few days. So yes. Sailing Yacht Florence is currently starting on GP. I've not really watched much of them. I think I've seen who they are, but I should definitely watch them. I live in Anson Lake. Oh, cool. Oh, that's such a cool part of the world, the Pacific Northwest. I'd love to sail there someday. All right. I think we're probably coming to the end. I'm trying to think if there's anything else left for me to waffle about. If you guys have any last questions, please ask them now. Yeah, I think that's sort of voted out. The reason why I've still got this chart, by the way, is I'm technically still doing my day skipper. My theory, I've like done all of the content. I just haven't done the exam, and I've left it too long now, and now I'm sure I've forgotten the correct light sequence for, I don't know, a safe watermark or something. So I really should have done it sooner. But oh well, I guess. And so anyways, I need to do that at some point. Another point is these sort of courses. It'd be interesting what you guys sort of think about them. So obviously I've done my day skipper, then there's coastal skipper, then there's yacht master. I've spoken to a few people. Some people say they're really good. Some people say they cost a lot of money, and it's better to just get the experience. I think having the qualification is probably good, so people just know, you know, it's like, oh yeah, he's got his Yachtmaster, so you can trust him or whatever. But I wonder how much in terms of actual learning. Have you got any tips for starting a sailing YouTube channel? That is a good question. First thing I'd say is just do it, I think, and just see how it goes. You'll learn so much from like your first few videos. So I began by just filming on my phone and then editing them on CapCut on an iPad, which is all free, and so just easy to do, easy to learn to use. And then now I've got a GoPro, and that has made such a difference. I hope for you guys as well. I mean, the audio is so much better. I'm still going to get a mic as well, at some point. But the footage is better, and the way it stabilizes the horizon makes it so much better and more enjoyable for you guys to watch, and for me to edit as well. Because genuinely, I'd get seasick sometimes, especially when I'd be editing the videos on the Saddler. When it was moving about, that I never ever feel seasick, but that time I felt it a bit, which is interesting. So yeah, I'd say just do it, see how it goes, and yeah, I mean, I've learned, just anything sailing, and it's just sort of enough. So and it's really good. It encourages me to do more sailing, and it means I don't have to go and work at a cafe or something yet, at least, which I don't want to do. I'm not a big hospitality person. I've worked in a cafe for a bit before, and it's just not my thing. Okay, if anyone's got any final questions, I'm gonna answer one more, I think. Yeah, anything about future sailing, yeah, anything. And I should also probably say, unfortunately, now that sort of the end of the sailing season, well, it's not so much that it's the end of the sailing season, more the end of my summer holiday season, and now I'm going back to school in a few days, the YouTube channel will probably slow down a bit. Hopefully I'll have something every couple of weeks or something, but definitely toward the end of the year, when I start to have to revise for A levels, which are the exams which allow you to go to university, I'll definitely have to probably stop it for a bit, but then it's okay, because then it's my gap year, and then there'll be so much, and I can't wait for that. So we got a final comment from SRB. I've been sailing since 1953. Wow. I'm getting too old. If you can contact me, my boat 32 might go to a good home. Wow, I must go now. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's interesting. I might follow up with that. In fact, just today, there's an amazing Trapper 300 for sale for only $2.5 grand, and I contacted the guy and I said, if this is available in a year, I'll buy it. I'm not going to tell my parents I did that. Thanks for the live chat, Nessa. Say hi to host from Rebecca and Mark. Thanks so much, Rebecca, for joining in. Yeah, I'm just waffling. AOS radar indispensable. Definitely noticed that radar on my Wales passage was definitely worth it. Thank you, Jay Simpson. Thank you, The Arts, as always. Thank you so much for joining me live. I hope it was enjoyable. Probably didn't replace an actual video, but thanks so much for joining. I think I'm going to end it here, if I can work out how to do that. Oh, okay. Goodbye.